It has been several months since we have discussed this situation with Michael Irvin here on the channel. We were all over this story back in February and March when these allegations surfaced that Michael Irvin supposedly sexually harassed a woman in a hotel lobby during the week of the Super Bowl. And I put a lot of emphasis on supposedly because I don't think this happened. I know Michael Irvin is no saint. I mean, who is? Last I checked, there's only been one man in the history of mankind to live his life without sin, and his own people nailed him to the cross for it. What happened to Michael Irvin? It should resonate with every single man in America because you could be next. People nowadays are so quick to judge, they're so quick to convict, especially people running corporations. All it takes is one allegation. All it takes is a whisper, and your career, your reputation as a man can be forever tarnished. When these allegations surfaced with Michael Irvin back in February, both ESPN and NFL Network, they were quick to pull him off the air. At the time, I criticized them for doing so. If I remember correctly, these allegations were made public and both ESPN and NFL Network pulled Michael Irvin off the air. I think it was in like 24 hours. Maybe it took them a couple of days. Either way, they made the decision quickly. They made the decision based on emotion, and more importantly, they made the decision based on fear. The way these major corporations see it, it's better to err on the side of caution. Dude is accused of sexual harassment. Whether he did it or not, that's irrelevant. The only thing that matters to them is the negative publicity, the distraction, the risk, the media coverage. It's easier to part ways or suspend Michael Irvin than it is to wait out the situation and see if the allegations have any merit. For those that don't remember, let me briefly summarize what got Michael Irvin suspended from ESPN and NFL Network. Video evidence showed Michael Irvin speaking with a young woman in a hotel lobby. They spoke for, probably about 45 seconds. The conversation looked to be pleasant. Michael Irvin left the lobby, returned to his hotel room. That was it. That's all. If that's what constitutes as sexual harassment in 2023, every man in America is guilty. He was speaking with the barista at Starbucks. Harassment. He helped that old lady load groceries into her car. Harassment. A group of men vomited at the sight of Leah Thomas in a bikini. Transphobia. They have blurred the lines to the point where most men don't have any fucking idea what is considered to be sexual harassment anymore. When Michael Irvin was suspended back in February, he was told that his status with ESPN and NFL Network was pending investigation. Okay, fair enough, I guess. Even though I think he should have remained on the air while this investigation was being conducted, I can at least somewhat understand their decision to pull him off TV until the investigation concluded. Now, I'm looking at my calendar. It says today's July 24th. NFL training camps are underway. The preseason starts here in a couple of weeks. Yet for some reason, Michael Irvin remains off my TV. Why? You mean to tell me both ESPN and the NFL have been unable to wrap this investigation in the last 5-6 months? How long does it take to review a 45-second video clip? How long does it take to speak with the two people involved along with a handful of eyewitnesses? I have seen defunded police departments close a case faster than this. ESPN and the NFL, they are working at the speed of the federal government here, where you take months and months to investigate something and you still come to no conclusion. I'm not the only one perplexed with ESPN and the NFL Network. I'm not the only one aggravated. Stephen A. Smith is too. On the latest version of his podcast, which by the way, Stephen A.'s podcast, it is a hell of a lot better than what you see and hear from him on ESPN. He seems more comfortable, more authentic. On his own platform, I feel like we are seeing the real Stephen A. Smith instead of the corporate polished turd that ESPN forces all their on-air talent to be. But anyway, right now, Stephen A., he is looking for sparring partners for Woke Take. Candidates interested in the position, they must always agree with Stephen A. Smith and be willing to supply him with endless woke hugs. Now, obviously, when ESPN put out this job notification, Shannon Sharpe was the first to apply. Hey, it's me, Shay Shay. Shay is currently in a drought when it comes to woke hugs. After his painful public divorce from Skip Bayless, he hasn't felt the warm debate of another man in weeks. Stephen A., he's interested in offering Shannon Sharpe woke welfare at ESPN, but he's more interested in bringing back Michael Irvin. Earlier today, Stephen A. expressed his outrage as to what's been happening with Michael Irvin and how he's been treated. Watch for yourself.
I've waited months, and I'm still waiting. If you have enough of a history where you're in the news for the wrong reasons, there are things that people can get tired of. But that's not what I was told. What I was told is that there was going to be incriminating evidence against Michael Irvin, and that would be the reason he wouldn't be on the airwaves. I'm not talking about by ESPN. I'm just talking about people in the know in the industry. They were the ones saying that. Well, guess what? That was February. It is March, April, May, June, now July, and August is on the way. In case y'all haven't noticed, since that time, I've lost about 20 pounds. My hairline has receded by about another foot. I'm 6 months older, and we still ain't seen no evidence incriminating Mike Irvin. And if we don't see that, this man should be on the airwaves.
First of all, Stephen A. hit on something that I had forgotten about, to be honest with you. When video of this conversation was released between Michael Irvin and this unknown woman, who to my knowledge, even after all these months, her identity remains unknown, how in the hell does that happen? In my opinion, if you're willing to accuse someone publicly, you should not be able to hide your identity. Now, obviously, that shouldn't be the case in all cases, but in situations like this with Michael Irvin, it should. But anyway, after the video was released to the public, and it pretty much sunk these allegations against Michael Irvin, we were all told that there would be further evidence released that would incriminate Michael Irvin. My question is, where the hell is it? Where is this incriminating evidence? The main reason we haven't talked about Michael Irvin here on the channel in the last few months, there's been nothing to talk about. There have been no new developments in his case. Keeping Michael Irvin off television from March up until now, that's really not a big deal. Sure, he missed covering the NFL draft. Who cares? He missed the combine. He missed covering minicamp back in May. Who cares? Past 5 months, it's like Michael Irvin's been on an extended vacation, a sabbatical. But what about now? This dude's one of the leading voices on NFL Network. He's one of the main reasons I watch all 4 hours of Game Day Morning every Sunday morning during NFL season. Everyone seems to be wondering why Michael Irvin is still suspended, and executives at ESPN and NFL Network, they're not providing any answers. Mr. Goodell, why is Michael Irvin still suspended? Who's Michael Irvin? Both networks, they have got to make a decision here. Either cut ties with Michael Irvin or put his ass back on TV. These vague excuses and both networks delaying their decision, it's only making things worse. Hasn't Michael Irvin been punished enough? I mean, seriously. Put yourself in his shoes. You get stopped by some young woman in a hotel lobby. Instead of brushing her off, you politely engage in what looks to be casual conversation with her. You head up to your hotel room, you go to sleep. You wake up the next morning, you're accused of sexual harassment. The network that you have spent decades helping build, the network that you have been working for since 2008, I think, with Michael Irvin, they refuse to defend you. Not only that, they pull you off television, what sends a signal to the public that they think you're guilty. That is the reason I disagreed back in February with both networks prematurely pulling Michael Irvin off TV. Anyway, video evidence. it ends up being released publicly, which seems to exonerate you. Your employers, they still refuse to defend you. 5 months later, you're still sitting in limbo waiting for your employers to make a decision. Now keep in mind, you're dealing with all this bullshit without doing anything wrong. Or at least I don't think Michael Irvin has done anything wrong. If more evidence comes out proving otherwise, I'll eat my words. But at this point, I don't think that's going to happen. Again, hasn't Michael Irvin been punished enough? Back in February when we talked about this, I said if I was Michael Irvin, I would not be able to return to NFL Network, especially after I've worked there for 2 decades. These executives, they know me personally. They receive a little bit of negative publicity, a flimsy allegation that doesn't have a shred of evidence, and they turn their back on me? If I'm Michael Irvin, I wouldn't want to work for people like that. I damn sure wouldn't want to work at ESPN. Like I said in the beginning, what happened to Michael Irvin, it could happen to any one of us. Your reputation can be ruined in seconds. All it takes is one allegation. There doesn't even have to be any evidence against you. All it takes is a woman going to human resources, reporting you for harassment, and your ass is gone. Because it's easier and cheaper for companies to let you go than it is for them to waste time and money conducting an investigation. It's also a hell of a lot riskier. And the thing is, this not only hurts men, it also hurts women. The other 99% of women, they've got to deal with the consequences of the 1% who want to be victims. Me too, me too. I think I've shared this story with you guys before, but we've added thousands of new subscribers since, so I'm going to share it again. It'll be new for some of you guys. Years ago, when I was a young operations manager, I was 27, maybe 28 years old, we were filling a position at the office. There were 5 of us working in this office, all dudes. I had narrowed it down to 2 candidates. One guy, he was around my age, not much experience, and an older woman with over 20 years of experience in the business. Naturally, I was going to hire the woman. Before I left work one day, one of the older dudes came by my office. He wanted to know who I was going to hire. I told him I was going to hire the woman. He shook his head no, so I asked him why. He said, "You've got 5 men in this office. We're vulgar. We make crass jokes. We talk shit. We have fun. We have a certain dynamic, a certain atmosphere that we're all used to." He said, all of that changes. All of that disappears if you bring a woman into this office. We're going to have to watch what we say. If you raise your voice, if you reprimand her in a way that she feels is disrespectful, she could call human resources and your ass will be fired. Now, even though I was young and thought I knew everything at the time, I listened to his advice. I hired the dude, he sucked, and I eventually fired him a few months later. Now, would the woman have been the better for the job? Would she have been a better hire? Of course she would. Would she have worked out long term? Probably so. But was it worth the risk of dealing with potential HR issues? No. I promise you, that same predicament, it happens every day in corporate America. And situations like what happened with Michael Irvin, it further cements that type of thinking. It's wrong, there's no doubt about it, but it's reality. Anyway, give me your thoughts. Stephen A. calls out ESPN, NFL Network for dragging out this situation with Michael Irvin. Do you think he returns for football season? If you were him, would you be willing to return to networks that tarnish your reputation and refuse to defend you publicly? You let me know. Sound off in the comments below. Make sure to like and subscribe. Click the notification bell to receive all notifications from the channel. Best way to contact me is by email at btlkc84@gmail.com, KC_BTL84 on Twitter. I'll see you guys tomorrow.